everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Unraveled and Rising podcast. If this is your first time, hey, welcome. We'd love it if you like and subscribe if you feel like the content is good for you. And if you come back every time, we are so happy to have you back. We love having you view our episodes, and we love that your comments, love when you post comments, so please do. Today, we're going to talk more about trauma. Originally, this podcast was designed to really talk about kind of trauma, the unraveling, if you will, and then the rising beyond that. And Terry, she's a trauma recovery coach, and she goes into Deborah Women's correctional facility every Sunday and works with women in prison. And she goes through this course that she helps them deal with trauma from their past. I thought it would be really great if she would share with us today a bit of that class so you can have a better understanding of what she's doing. But also, if this is something that you can use in your life or share with someone else who needs it, I think it's a valuable tool that would benefit all of us. So I asked Terry to share, and she's going to do that today. Hey, Kimberly. Hey, Terry.
Good morning. Hi everyone.
Nice to see you.
Michelle, thank you for asking me to do this. It's something I'm super passionate about. And it's, I always go back to, this is something I had to learn within myself. And one of the things that I love talking with the women about is that reminding them that we use 5% of our conscious mind, and 95% of us is unconscious. So 5% of the mind is conscious and 95% is programmed in us. And so it's programmed behaviors from most of the time early childhood and things that were told to us that we didn't know were being programmed into us at a very young age. And so most of the time it's stories that we've just accepted into our life. And so, getting us to understand that is difficult at first because we think that we are our body, right? We think that everything we do, we're of conscious mind, and we're not. And so one of the things I have them do is I have them think about them driving down the highway. So here in Colorado, driving down I-25 and it's snow-packed, and you're driving next to a semi-truck. And you're going to put your hands, white knuckle it on that steering wheel, and you're going to pay attention. That's you using your conscious mind. You are alert, you're paying attention, and you're awake in your mind, right? But most of the time we're on autopilot and we're not conscious of what we're doing, and we're acting or reacting based on programs in our past. And so one of the things I love chatting with them about is what I call the thought loop. And when I talk about the thought loop, is most of the time the thoughts that come in are thoughts that we've been thinking about for a very long time, right? And most of those thoughts are things we ruminate on, or maybe things that have happened that were not so great in our past, or even someone who said something to you that was not very kind. The human thing of all of us to do is to focus on the negative things. That is just humanity. We never think of the kind thing someone says to us because we always think of the negative things stick with us more than the things that are positively said about us. And that's normal. That is you being human. And so I want to normalize that. But when I talk about, and I'm looking here at my thought loop just so I can stay on track, but the reason these things keep going is because of this thought loop. And maybe you can recognize yourself in this thought loop as I talk about it. And so I want you to just, first of all, everything I teach is I want you to pay attention to what's happening in your body. And so right now, when I say something, I want you to just pay attention to what comes up and what's happening within your body. So if your heart rate starts to go up, or I say something and you feel something, just pay attention to it, but don't draw into it or draw any conclusions from it. Just notice it and just let it kind of pass on by and go, ooh, what is that? And we don't always do that. Sometimes we kind of engage with it a little bit too much. And that's what we do when we have trauma. When we have trauma, we're very hyper vigilant on things, right? So we're paying attention to many things outside of us. Many of us can probably say we're empaths, and so we feel a lot of things, but we're empaths and we're hyper aware because many things have happened to us in our past that make us that way, right? We're very attuned with what's happening outside of us because Life has trained us to be that way. So yes, we're empaths because we're attuned to feeling what's going on out there, because we're protecting ourselves, right? So we're hyper aware because we're constantly protecting ourselves on what's going on outside of us. And so a thought might come in. So what I want you to just think about: thoughts become feelings, right? So we think a thought, they become feelings, and then those feelings, thought over time, for a lot of time, start to become ingrained in us. And those start to show up in our actions. And then those actions become our results. And so that's really the thought loop. So everything begins with a thought. So everything begins with a thought. Over time, that thought becomes programmed into us, starts to show up in our results, and then it starts to show up in our actions, and then it shows up in our results. So when I'm talking about a thought, because you can think, well, what does she mean by this? So when I talk about a thought, when we've had a history of trauma, maybe it's, I'm not good enough. So we've all probably thought this thought. We don't think consciously, we're thinking.
I've got a good one.
Yeah.
My ex-husband, after we broke up, said to me, "You always had big arms and big ankles." No, do you know how long I've thought that thought? It affected everything about my how I see myself.
Yeah.
Like because I've shared my journey here about my weight and all that stuff. That thought continuously goes in there. Just to be a jerk face, he said that.
Yeah. So Michelle, think about that right now. When you thought that left an impression on you, and actually changed the way you thought about yourself.
Yep.
So the feeling of that over time, over a long period of time, it created these feelings in you.
Yep.
Of the way you felt about yourself. You just said that.
Yep.
So it created how it showed up, right? So it created the way your actions you just said that, how you thought about yourself. And then it started creating results in your life.
Yep.
Which, can you explain some of the results maybe you've seen?
I've struggled with relationships. I've struggled with insecurity around relationships. I've always been very conscious of my physical being in front of a man. Yeah. Those things for sure, because of it. Absolutely.
So with the women at the prison, we can go back now and we're talking. What I have them do is I have them write down a result that they're getting in their life. And we go back and we start to think about, okay, where did this start? What kind of thought did this start with? And so how can I go back and start seeing, where did this thought come from? How did it start? How is it affecting my patterns? Where was this patterned in my life? Where is it showing up in my actions? And how has it resulted in my life? And so that's where we start. We have to figure out, okay, if this is the action I'm getting, what is the result what is the opposite of that I want in my life? And how do I start going backwards and trying to change this, right? Yep. So the results just reinforce your original thought, right?
100%.
And then what it does is then it just keeps proving you right.
Yep.
So then we just get confirmation out in the world. Our brain will go out and find confirmation to prove us right. And then it just goes back to, it just begins it again. Yep. So then now all of a sudden you're proving the thought is right. And so over time, over a long period of time, you are starting to prove that that exact thought that you're thinking is true.
Yep.
And so you start living your life based on that truth that has always been a lie in the first place. But our brain does that. Our brain goes out and confirms what you believe to be true.
Yeah. Because you also only see certain things that you want to see, right?
Yes.
Like it's not even the fact that I have gentlemen that have expressed an interest in me, but in my mind, I'm still thinking nobody wants me. You know what I mean? Because it's like, that's how, because you only see what you want to see when you're in this, when you think that.
Yeah.
So this is the area of my life that I'm in, that I'm still working through to try to find, because what I really would want is a wonderful man that can be a companion for me the rest of my life. And I really want that, but I haven't done anything yet to kind of take myself out of the fear of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Michelle, you're explaining that your thought became true through an experience, not actual fact.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yes. And so we create our reality based off thoughts. And so it's super powerful when we start to realize that we are actually the creator of our own reality.
Yep.
When we can get to realize that, and we can start to understand that, oh my gosh, if I created this reality through this thought, then I actually have the power to create a right thought and start to change that reality.
Yep.
And that's the beautiful thing about our brain being malleable and neuroplasticity, right? Being able to go in and change the brain. But as we talked, as I share with the women, we have, our brain is a super powered supercomputer. It is like programmed like software in our computer. It is software in our brain. And so it automatically is programmed into the things that we've programmed it with. And so as I tell them that we're in their Sundays learning this stuff, they've got to continue to go out and do things to change those programs. And when those thoughts come in, they have to intentionally do something that's going to counteract that thought over and over and over again, because it doesn't just go away.
Yeah.
And it still might even come back, but you have to catch that thought and go, oh yeah, that's just coming back again.
Yep.
And I've decided not to, that's not how I'm thinking today. And then what you do is those thought clusters, because we actually have thoughts formed in little clusters in our mind about our mother-in-law, about our father, about our mother, that are in there, and they've actually got feelings connected to it that are creating those actions that are creating our results. But the thing is that feeling and the experience that you've had there are also creating it with other people, and you don't know it.
Yeah.
So that experience, the things that happened within your body, your brain might have forgotten that terrible experience, or the verbal abuse, or whatever it is that you went through that your mind forgot. Because, you know, sometimes people can go back and go, well, explain to me the time that happened. And your brain will protect you by forgetting, but your body never forgets. Mm-hmm. And so you can be reacting to a past that you don't even know you're reacting to still in a situation. And so when you overreact to a situation and someone looks at you and says, wow, that response didn't
quite fit.
Didn't quite fit the way that person reacted, or the way that I reacted.
Yeah.
That's just a way for us to get curious, not be judgmental and be hard on ourselves, but to go, what was that? Huh? And so it's just a way for us to start asking some questions and go, what was that? That was what brought that out in me? And so this is where we can start figuring out, okay, where did that come from? And what was the belief behind that?
Yeah.
that I reacted in that way. And so it's just communication. And so what I tell the women is it's just communication. It's never meant to be, I say this all the time to them. You never want to tell people to go through trauma to learn, but you can't erase trauma. Like, we are never going to be able to go back and say that experience didn't happen. It's never not going to happen. But we can learn from it, and we can stay curious, and we can allow ourselves to say, okay, this event happened. It is a part of me. It's never not going to be a part of me. But how can I take these feelings that are within me, and how can I change it? What are some things that I can change with how I'm thinking about it? Right? And so how I have them do that is I have them take a thought. So when we're talking about I'm not good enough, so we change that thought and we say, I am enough. I am enough. I am enough the way I am. There's nothing outside of me that's ever going to make me enough. First, we have to understand that. There's nothing outside of me that is ever going to make me good, is ever going to make me enough. Everything within us, you're enough the way you are, right? That's the way it's always been. So the belief is, and it's just small shifts. So the belief is, my worth doesn't come from proving myself to anyone. I am worthy, or I'm enough the way I am. And so that's the thought. The thought that I'm going to decide to change is that I am enough. Programmed over time, the feeling that you're going to get is, that's the belief. Over time, you're going to start to. So do you guys ever do affirmations in the mirror?
Yeah.
I haven't in a while, but I used to a lot.
So one of the things I say, and I tell the women this, I say I am worthy, or I say I am fearfully and wonderfully made, created in God's image. I am created on purpose with a purpose, and health and wealth are my birthright. But I get out of bed before my feet hit the floor every single morning. I say that. And so it's memorized in me, and I know that it's true. So I feel it now within my being. So that has helped create my confidence, right? So I don't question my worth anymore because I believe that. But
Yeah.
it's been programmed in me for, man, many years now. I say that. So I can just say it and I believe it. It didn't just come. I had to say that, and I've learned it within me that my body believes it now. And so now, as my actions, I feel I'm worthy enough to set boundaries, right? Now all of a sudden boundaries are loving to myself.
Right.
People pleasing is not loving to myself anymore. So my people pleasing actions are not there. I speak more honestly because how my values matter. Before they didn't matter because I didn't feel that way. My feelings were not showing up in my actions. So my results were different, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's being true to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when you're true to yourself and you believe it, your thought matches your belief.
Right.
Your beliefs match your actions,
Which then
and your results start to show. So
Yeah.
how do they show up? You're more confident. You have more peace and calm within yourself. The people pleasing starts to go away, and the comparison game starts to go away. You don't really need that validation outside of you anymore.
Right.
Because I think it's interesting about that too is then all of a sudden all this stuff starts coming your way because you're entering the world in a much different way. So all of a sudden people are responding to you. You're getting things, you know what I'm saying? Like things are happening differently than they were before because of that.
Yes.
And what they're responding to, Michelle, is that calm energy. It's really that calm energy, that peace energy, because that is attractive.
Right.
That is attractive. People feel that.
Yes, they do.
Chaos, many people run from that. Or they don't even realize it, but it's chaotic, and the environment is just, you know what it is to be around a chaotic person.
Oh yeah.
Or when we were chaotic, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we've been chaotic, we can feel it in other people. It's just weird. You can't even explain it, but it's just not right. And so you can't explain what it is.
When you go to somewhere, to an event or something, when you're not in the right space, like your energy's off, your vibration's off, and you go to an event, everybody else picks up on that too. And then you don't get the results you're looking for necessarily, especially with a networking event or something like that. And then all of a sudden they feel something, they just don't know what they're feeling.
They don't know what they're
something's
feeling.
off with her. I'm not exactly sure what it is. And they don't.
And you can even feel it.
Yeah.
Like you can feel them feeling something in you, and it's just weird.
It's weird.
Well, I recently dropped out of a networking group that I've been going to for a few months, but the energy was just off for me. It just didn't. I wasn't, and I finally had to say, I was starting to get like that pit in my stomach when I was going, and I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like this makes absolutely no sense. These just are not my people, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
Yep.
But being able to speak up and say, it's just this just isn't for me, and walking.
And that is honoring yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I tell the women that, I say, so many years we have spent dishonoring ourselves by not being able to do that, and knowing if there was a red flag or if there was something that we knew was not right, we didn't listen. And then we get into these situations that then we cause more trauma in our life and more pain and suffering. And then we just start the negative thought there. Then we just create more of these experiences, and then we don't trust ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
It's
you
really
get
scary.
resentful, and people start aggravating you when it's like, this just isn't my place.
So, and then there's even a time where you have to begin to do this, find safe people to be around, start to trust yourself to do it, and then this is how you build trust in yourself as well.
Yep.
And start going, oh, okay, I can do this. Right. And this is where that self-empowerment comes in. Empowerment doesn't come from outside of you.
No.
People can encourage you and can help you along the way and support you, but it comes from within us. Like there's nothing outside of you that is going to empower you. It comes from inside of you. Everything you need is within you. You can have people around you that encourage you and that are your people and that are going in the same direction as you are, but nobody's, we always say this, no one's coming to save us.
No.
People, that is our job, and happiness is our job. And why wait for it? We can be happy today. We are not a victim of our life. And that is hard to hear when we think about, I'm not trivializing trauma, because some of us have gone through some horrific things. Some of us have gone through things that have happened for decades, but we also have, how do I say this with a lot of grace? Because I contributed to a lot of things in my life. Right. I stayed in situations for too long that were not serving me, that continued to hurt me. And I continued to make decisions in my life that were hurting me. And so at some point I had to take some responsibility of my involvement. And so even if it was my involvement in not seeing my own worth and that I deserved more.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that, Terry. I always think of it too with the anger. I have a very clear understanding that I was very angry when I was younger, and that was the only emotion I felt comfortable expressing because it was the one that could protect you.
Yep.
But I now know that anger is just a habit of something I used to do.
Yes.
It's not, my reaction now doesn't have to be anger because I control my emotions.
Yes.
And I say to myself, hey, they don't need to see this. I don't need to go to that level.
Well, and to be completely honest, anger way back then was completely valid.
Right.
Yeah.
You needed
anger, yes. But anger as aware adults is hurting us.
Right.
And it only hurts us.
Yeah. I mean, you can become addicted to being angry.
100%.
I mean, I know I was, because I was just so used to, that's what I felt in my home. It was just such a comfortable, sounds crazy feeling, but that's what you got used to. And then it's like, wait a minute.
Well, we become, and we talk about this in the prison, is we reprogram our brain.
Yep.
And so our brain is not meant to be on high cortisol all the time. It's meant to help us in those times of, oh my gosh, I got to jump out of the way of that bus that's coming, or I'm standing too close to the edge of this cliff and I need to back up. But it was never meant for us to be on it all the time. And when we're on it all the time, it will start to get programmed to this new level. And so like when you program your house to be in the wintertime here in Colorado, when I like it warm, I put my house at like 71, but when it hits 71, it goes off, right?
Right.
So when you have programmed your behavior to be so intense, it's going to hit that intensity. And unless it does, it's going to say, oh, she's not pissed off today. I need to find something to get her pissed off. And it's going to find it, and it's going to get you pissed off and go, okay, there's our normal.
Yeah. Thank you.
They're like, Michelle, why don't you get in the car and take a drive? That'll do it. You know what I mean?
and let's create the experience that we're used to.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
And until we start to reprogram it, it's not going to change. We don't change until our experiences in life don't change until we change.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
That's that responsibility factor we were talking about this morning, Terry, in our mastermind group. I feel like once you get to the point where you take 100% responsibility for everything in your life, and again, we're not discounting anybody who's gone through trauma and things happen to them that were out of their control. I'm talking about how we view everything in our lives now as adults,
right?
And even as young people too. So it's like we have to take responsibility for that. And if we had a lot more accountability, if everybody were to kind of take that accountability piece, then the interactions between folks would be so much different. I feel like there'd be so much more respect for one another, and there would be a different level of existing and communicating if we were able to kind of do that together as a group of people. I think it makes a huge difference.
100%. And one of the word recovery. So when we share the word recovery, the root word of that word recovery actually means to recover something. right? And so when we talk about recovering something, what are we recovering?
Ourselves.
We're recovering ourselves.
Yeah.
And so it's trauma. Trauma is, the meaning of trauma is a wound.
Right.
And wounds are unhealed most of the time when it's trauma. And trauma can be physical. It can be a physical wound. It can be a physiological, psychological wound. And most of them are psychological, right?
Yep.
Emotional wounds. And when they're unhealed, it causes us a lot of pain. But recovery is, and when I spend a lot of time in the recovery space, recovery is to find ourselves. It's to find ourselves. And so to find ourselves is to return to ourselves. And it is taking accountability for our actions. And it's making amends to ourselves, to others, for things that we did. When I went to recovery, I thought I thought that it was everyone else. It wasn't me.
Sure.
And then when I went, I learned real quick that this is not about anyone else.
Like, dang it, I want to blame it on that guy.
No. Yes, it is about
that victim mentality. I mean, it's not helpful, you know.
And there was no one to blame. Like I could not blame I could not blame my parents for everything that was happening in my life. My parents had their own traumas, went through their own stuff. And when you learn about intergenerational and generational trauma, they pass things on to us. They don't even know they're passing on to you.
Yep, the gifts that keep on giving.
Yes, yep. And you when you realize it, you have the power to stop it and to change your generation. But it takes someone with courage to stand up and say, "This is enough. I'm not going to be a victim to this. I don't have to be a victim, and I can be greater than this. It is not greater than me, and it's not easy."
I was going to say, it's not easy being that person.
It's not easy. No,
it's a lonely place to be.
It can be a lonely place to be. But you know what? Years later, it can be an empowering place to be, because those people are going to come right back to you and go, how did you do it? What did you do? And I want you to help me get there.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, I think for me is, it doesn't, like, I don't have a lot of people in my life anymore, but the ones that I have are solid people that choose me, that have my back. I've been going through some stuff, recently, and, my husband yesterday was just so incredibly supportive. He adores me. We've got our own challenges here and there, but at the end of the day, he's got my back, and I know that. And for him to be able to tell me yesterday, you are not crazy. None of this was, but you are recovering. You are trying to get past this. And I support you in doing that. And I know that it's not easy. And if I could take that pain from you, I would. But I know that you have to go through that. So I mean, to have people like that. And then I happened to get a card yesterday from my girlfriend that we've been friends since we were 10 years old, just letting me know, I know you're going through a tough time. I've got you. And it's like, you don't have to have a lot of people. Just
you don't. No.
That really see you for who you are and what you're doing.
And you want that handful of people that are going to tell you the uncomfortable things.
Yep.
They're not going to let you stay in your stuff, and they're going to say, I love you too much for you to stay the same.
Yep.
Those are the people I want in my life. I do not want people validating things that are not going to help me grow.
Yeah.
And those relationships, all of us had them, and they were great to be in, because what were we doing back then? We were gossiping. We were saying things. Why? Because it made us feel better, because we were all of a sudden, I was better than that person because I'm not doing that. But was it really helping us? No.
Right. We were grandiose and ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right.
And it's just habit too. You know what I mean? My grandmother was the queen gossiper in town. And so every time I went to her house, that's what we did.
In town.
Well, and this is what I tell the women, is that that when someone's doing that they have so much pain within them that you don't have to get offended by it.
Yeah.
And even when you are trying to explain something to someone about things that you've been through, and if they don't understand you, not everyone sees the world the way that you do.
Right.
Not everyone has experienced trauma the way you have. Their life experience, all of our life experience is different. I don't see things the way Michelle does, the way Kimberly does, and they don't see it the way I do. And because we don't, doesn't mean that each one of our experiences is greater or different or more painful or any different. But we respect each other and we encourage each other and we love each other for each other's uniqueness and differences. And that's what we're supposed to do. We learn from each other.
I think another thing too is like siblings. You do not have the same experience. You do not have the same parents as one another. You may all live in the same house, but your circumstances, your relationship
and perceptions are different.
Yes. So for someone to tell you, well, that's not how I saw it. Well, of course it's not, but it doesn't make your situation invalid. Right.
I give this example in the prison. A 4-year-old who was raised, okay, so you have a family of 4. One child's 4 years old, the other one is 14. Yeah. And they had a loving parents that were together, happily married, all that good stuff. But the 4-year-old experiences more trauma when they go through a divorce than the 14-year-old. Yeah. Because the 14-year-old had 2 parents that had a stronger, healthier marriage during the informative years that were important, that he went through that. The 4-year-old sister did not. And so when she's struggling more through trauma and sees things differently than the 14-year-old and is not as healthy emotionally, you see why. Because maybe mom now had to go get a job and work full time, and she's not emotionally available for the 4-year-old where she was for the 14-year-old. Right. And so you see the same parents, same family, different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first child too. A lot of times, with your first child, parents, it's so new and it's the first for everything, for you and everything else. And then the more kids you have, it's like, I don't think you put as much attention on it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I heard.
Well, at 14, maybe they taught him healthy coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
Or maybe because they didn't know it then.
Well, if he is at a healthier place in his life, they could have, and he's at a healthier place. The 14-year-old, maybe mom doesn't know how to cope now that they're in a divorce and she's working, and the daughter has had to fend for herself and learn her own coping. Yeah. Now mom's not available emotionally, and she's actually dealing with all that internal stuff where her safety is being questioned now, because I don't have my primary caregiver with me here all the time, and dad is gone. And so how come my dad's not available for me? And then there goes the brain going out and making up stories to help us make sense of our environment because it's its job.
Right. Yeah.
When my mom got divorced, I was in middle school. My mom and dad got divorced, and my mom then started dating, and she went a little nutso. Let me just go there. And she put our phone number out on the radio in Denver. Oh, God. Because it was a dating line on the radio. This is before they had social media. Yeah. So it was a dating radio thing, and she called in and left her phone number. So we had all these creeps calling the house, and she was gone, and I'm answering the phone at 12 with these guys trying to talk dirty to me when I'm 12 years old. Seriously, now talk about impact like that. Exactly what you're saying. Yes. Where it's like, everything wasn't fine. My parents' relationship wasn't fine, but they were together. There's some stability there. Then she kind of goes off the rails, and now we got creeps calling me at my house.
And it causes confusion.
And it created a lot of fear in me, because that was a very dangerous, the stuff they say to you is, at 12 years old, I was very innocent at that age. And I was like,
and so our brain, our lovely, lovely brain, we have to honor. And here's another thing I tell the women is we have to honor our experiences, and we have to honor our brain, because it does what it's supposed to do. And it went and tried to create safety for you, Michelle, and went and did what it was supposed to do and tried to make sense of what was going on. Right. And it creates stories to try to make sense of what's going on. But sometimes those stories are not correct.
Yeah.
But we believe them.
We do. Then I got to a point where I was telling them off, which is, again, not safe.
Right.
This is probably where the anger started. That's probably the first time.
It was an adaptation that worked when it needed to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's probably where it started. I was telling them that they all had tiny little appendages. Probably not a safe thing to do now that I think back on it. But like you said, at the time, I was, like, you're not going to try to scare me on the phone and, say whatever I could say.
That's where that masculinity started coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Michelle had to protect Michelle.
Yep. Yep.
So
And it was
true.
very- and it's
Interesting. I haven't
something to
thought about
honor
that
at that
forever,
time
but it
because
really
you
popped
needed-
up in my mind when you were talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. I've got so many stories like that. I can't even tell you.
And one of the things we always circle back to is honoring how our bodies dealt with it at the time, because it served us at that time.
Right.
But, being an aware adult now, if things are causing us problems in our life, being aware of it.
It's bringing something up in me.
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking about it, and I always thought my mom was my protector, but what it just brought up in me was that she wasn't always my protector. I've always blamed everything on my dad in the past, and that just hit me just now. I it wasn't even something I was thinking about until just this moment, because even after that, I was a very scared kid after that. Well, it was before that too. There's a lot of fear when I was a kid. But because these phone calls were happening, and of course that stupid movie was out where they call you from the inside your house. It's like the babysitter. Remember that movie?
Stranger in the house or whatever.
In here calling
stranger calls.
Downstairs,
When a stranger calls, yes.
We would go to the neighbor's house and drink, and then I would call over there telling them can you please come home? I'm scared. And they would just sit and laugh at me on the phone and make fun of me. And I would be sitting and again, I didn't even think about that until this very moment. That she wasn't always protecting me, because that fear that I was feeling and me being emotional about it and showing that fear and say, hey, I need help, I'm scared, she didn't come.
Yeah.
I just thought about that just now.
You had to protect yourself. You were your own.
I never ever thought about that.
And when kiddos have to protect themselves, it's scary. And a lot of times we go inward. And when we go inward, sometimes we dissociate. And sometimes it's better to check out because it's too unsafe.
Yeah. That just came up for me just now. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Never thought about that before.
Well,
and of course, that's why I started
body remembers.
Yeah.
It does remember. Your body remembers.
Oh my gosh, it's a living example of exactly what Terry's talking about.
And this is how things come up.
Yep.
Yeah. And then it reminds you that, and then Michelle, it comes up and it just gives you a little inclination of where you can spend some time in your own healing.
Yep.
And then also grace for your mom, because your mom probably didn't know how to also keep her own self safe.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that was very healing for me. Thank you, Terry.
Yes.
How much do I owe you?
Invoices in the mail.
Those are the things I love when they come up for people, because there's always these aha moments, and the women are like, they see themselves in their patterns a lot of times, or when they're getting offended, or when things are happening, and they're just like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? And so those are huge, when we can just not hook on or white knuckle the things that come up, and just become aware.
Yeah.
Terry does workshops and stuff, you guys, online, and she has things that she's been doing and working on. So I'm going to put anything those workshops or anything Terry has coming up in the show notes for this episode. Because if anybody wants to work with her directly or work with a group of people that she's working with, I think that's so powerful. And obviously it was powerful for me today. We all saw it. So I just thanks so much, Terry, for this today, because I think it's something people can walk away with. They can use little tools that you talked about, little affirmations and things that come up for them, and be able to maybe help them get through some stuff like this.
Yes.
So I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because the world feels really heavy right now.
It does.
It does.
It just does. So to have some grace for yourself.
Grace for yourself. Challenge those thoughts that we think about ourselves. Because you know what? We are beautiful. There's nothing that needs to be fixed within us.
Yeah.
There's nothing that needs to be fixed. We trauma fragments us, and it's returning back to ourselves.
All right, guys. Thanks so much for coming today, or for listening or watching. We appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. And if you think somebody would benefit from this specific episode, please share it with them. We would love that. We want to, our goal in doing this podcast is really try to help others. We want to serve others. And the things that we talk about and everything is really in our own desire to want to serve others. And hopefully the things that we're talking about are things that can help other people in any way. So please share it and let people know. And love, comment. We would love to hear your comment. We will respond. We respond to every single comment that is put on either YouTube or Spotify or anything. We respond to every single one, and we can connect you with people if that's something you need. But we look forward to seeing you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.